At a bustling train station in the city, there lived a beggar who scraped by day to day by asking passengers for spare change. He had grown used to holding out his hand, receiving help from others, never once thinking that he had anything to give in return. One morning, while wandering through the usual crowds, he noticed a tall, well-dressed man who looked very successful. The beggar thought, "This man must be rich. I should ask him. Maybe he'll give me more money." He approached and held out his hand. But instead of giving money right away, the man stopped and asked, "You always ask others for something, but have you ever given anything to anyone?" The beggar hesitated. "Sir, I'm just a poor man. I have nothing to give. I survive on the kindness of strangers." The man looked at him and replied, "If you have nothing to give, then you have no right to expect others to give to you. I'm a businessman, and I believe in the law of giving and receiving. If you cannot give anything, don't expect to receive." Then he stepped onto the train and left, leaving the beggar standing still, stunned. Those words echoed in his mind. For the first time in his life, he wondered, maybe I'm poor not because of my circumstances, but because I never thought about giving. The man's question continued to echo in the beggar's mind. He couldn't forget it. Have you ever given anything to anyone? All his life, he'd believed he had nothing, that he was merely a wretched man living off pity. But now he began to doubt that belief. Could it be that because he never gave anything, he never truly received? 2 days passed, and the question kept troubling him. What can I possibly give? But he kept hitting a wall. He had no money, no possessions, no skills. What did he have to offer? On the third day, as he sat by the roadside near the station, he noticed a patch of wildflowers blooming beside the tracks. They were small, but fresh and bright in the morning sun. A sudden idea struck him. Why don't I give flowers to those who give me money? He picked a few and brought them to the station. When someone gave him money, he smiled and handed them a small flower in return. At first, people were surprised, but then they smiled back and accepted the flower with gratitude. A small gesture, yet it made the receiver feel loved and respected. From that day on, every morning, he would pick flowers carefully, choosing the most beautiful ones. Gradually, he noticed something strange. More and more people started giving him money. When he ran out of flowers, the number of donors dropped noticeably. Through this process, he began to understand a simple but profound truth. People don't give just out of pity. They give because they also receive something, even if it's just a flower or a genuine smile. One day, as he walked along the train cars as usual, he saw a familiar face. It was the same tall, well-dressed man who had planted the seed of change in him. Without hesitation, he approached, more confidently this time. "Would you spare some change?" he asked with a radiant smile. "And this time, I have a gift for you, a flower." The man laughed warmly, reached into his wallet, gave him some money, and gently accepted the flower. He said, "Wonderful, you've become a businessman just like me." The beggar stood in awe at those words. From a man who had nothing, he was now called a businessman. Not because he owned a shop or had capital, but because he had learned one of life's fundamental principles, to give and to receive. As the train pulled away, he stood watching, moved. He looked up at the sky and shouted, "I'm no longer a beggar. I'm a businessman. I will be rich." People around him gave him puzzled looks. Some thought he was mad. But for him, that was the birth of a new self, a new mindset. He realized that what changes a life isn't the amount of money you have, but how you see yourself. From that day forward, he stopped begging the way he used to. He started saving every coin he earned to buy flowers instead of picking wild ones. He chose the prettiest blooms, wrapped them carefully, and sold them at corners of the station. People didn't just give him money, they paid for a small gift wrapped in kindness. From that simple act of giving flowers, he took his first steps toward building a business. And he knew the turning point began with a change in thinking. 6 months later, at the same station, 2 well-dressed men were waiting for a train. One of them suddenly recognized the other and extended his hand with joy. "Do you remember me?" The other looked momentarily puzzled, then shook his head. "Sorry, I don't believe we've met." The man smiled. "We've met not once, but twice. The first time I was a beggar and you refused to give me money. The second time I gave you a flower after you gave me a few coins. Today, I'm no longer a beggar. The other man's eyes widened. Really? What do you do now? I'm now a flower merchant. I'm on my way to another city to expand my business, the man replied proudly. You taught me a lesson I'll never forget. We only truly receive when we learn to give. That one sentence changed my entire life. He shared his journey, from the first wildflowers to carefully wrapped bouquets that people now bought with love and appreciation. He no longer begged. He was creating value, running a business built on kindness and connection. He continued, I realized I was never truly a beggar. I only thought I was. Change didn't begin with money. It began when I changed how I saw myself. The moment I saw myself as a businessman, the world began treating me like one. The two men smiled at each other, one who planted the seed of belief, the other who turned it into a blooming field. The story ends with a powerful lesson. Life puts no limits on anyone. It is we who limit ourselves. When we shift our mindset, act with faith and gratitude, miracles begin to unfold.